What do graffiti, cannabis use, and loudly explaining the plot during the movie have in common? One might get you arrested, one might get you fined, and one might make the entire theater fantasize about implementing vigilante justice. My name is Christian Maynard, and today we're tackling one of the most important concepts in sociology and criminology. What's the difference between crime and deviance? At first glance, the answer seems obvious. Crime is illegal, deviance is weird.
And you're almost always late, and you're guilty about it. You're in a rut with a bad habit, distaste for your sloppy ways. You were embarrassed by your messy hair and the fingernails you had neglected to clean.
But things get complicated quickly. There have been times where drinking alcohol was a crime, times when interracial marriage was a crime, times when cannabis possession could land someone in prison for years.
The name of the federal charge was conspiring to possess with the intent to distribute marijuana. In my case, it carried a sentence of from 0 to life imprisonment. And since the discretion is up to the judge, although I had no prior convictions and nobody was hurt, I was nevertheless sentenced to life imprisonment.
And there are plenty of behaviors that aren't illegal, but still violate social expectations. The distinction between crime and deviance helps sociologists understand not only why people break the rules, but how societies decide which rules matter in the first place. Let's start with definitions. Crime refers to behavior that violate formally enacted laws and punishable by the state. In other words, if the government legislates against an action and has the power to arrest, fine, or imprison people who do it, we're talking about a crime. Examples include assault, selling illegal drugs, underage drinking, vandalism through graffiti, violations of the Leahy Law, which prohibits U.S. military assistance to foreign security forces credibly implicated in gross human rights violations. Deviance is broader. Sociologists define deviance as behavior that violates social norms and expectations. Norms are informal rules that guide behavior. For example, cutting a line.
Larry! He's cutting the whole line by simply shouting Larry! Larry!
Larry? I'm not Larry.
Wearing pajamas to a job interview, standing backwards in an elevator, or putting ketchup on a perfectly fine steak. Some of these actions are legal, many are harmless, yet they still violate social expectations. This is where the distinction between crime and deviance becomes important. Crime refers to violations of formal rules written into law and enforced by the state, whereas deviance refers to violations of informal social norms and expectations. Sometimes the two overlap. Acts such as burglary or assault are both criminal and widely viewed as deviant, but the overlap is not perfect. Some behaviors may be illegal while remaining relatively common or socially accepted in certain settings. Minor speeding is a good example. Likewise, some behaviors may violate social expectations without breaking any laws at all. Think of crime and deviance as related categories rather than identical ones. One concerns formal rules backed by legal sanctions. The other concerns informal rules backed by social reactions such as approval, disapproval, stigma, or embarrassment.
Here's Arnold Schwarzenegger finding an onion ring in his fries. What is this? I did not want an onion ring, I wanted fries.
Look at the faces in the room.
That felt bad.
So,
It's also getting hot in there, take your jacket.
One of the most fascinating questions is, how does a behavior move from being merely deviant to being criminal? Let's use drug use as an example. During early American colonial days, cannabis, hemp in particular, was required to be grown for exports. For much of the 19th century in the United States, cannabis products were widely available in medicines. At the time, cannabis use wasn't generally considered a major social problem. By the early 20th century, however, Shifting political, racial, and moral concerns contributed to increasing restrictions. Eventually, cannabis became criminalized nationwide. Suddenly, a behavior that may have been viewed as unusual or undesirable became punishable by law. This process is called criminalization.
America's public enemy number one in the United States is drug abuse. In order to fight and defeat this enemy, it is necessary to wage a new all-out offensive.
Criminalization occurs when governments transform a behavior into a legal offense, but the process can also move in the opposite direction. Today, many U.S. states have legalized recreational cannabis. A behavior that once universally criminal is now legal for adults in most jurisdictions. The behavior itself didn't necessarily change, the law did. This illustrates an important sociological lesson. Crime is not an inherent property of an act. Crime is a legal status assigned by society. The same behavior can be legal in one state, illegal in another, and viewed differently across generations. Few plants have been asked to carry as much political baggage as cannabis. Can something be criminal, but not widely deviant? Absolutely. Consider underage drinking. Many college students know it violates the law, yet in some social settings, underage drinking may be viewed as relatively normal. The legal rule exists. The social norm may be much weaker though. Or consider minor speeding down the highway. It is illegal, but in many situations, the greater social offense is actually driving significantly slower than everyone else. In these cases, behaviors may technically be criminal while carrying relatively little social stigma. Sociologists sometimes describe this as a disconnect between formal norms and informal norms. The law says one thing, but everyday social expectations say something else. Another key lesson is that deviance is culturally relative. What counts as deviant depends heavily on where you're at. Behaviors considered normal in one society may be viewed negatively in another. Consider alcohol. In some countries, moderate alcohol consumption is integrated into everyday social life. In others, alcohol use may be legally restricted or socially condemned. The same principle applies to drug use, dress, language, sexuality, and countless other behaviors. Even graffiti illustrates this point. Some communities view graffiti primarily as vandalism. Others celebrate certain forms of street art as cultural expressions. The difference often depends on context. A colorful mural may be praised. The exact same paint on the side of someone's garage may generate considerably less enthusiasm, especially from the homeowner. Not only does deviance vary across cultures, it changes over time. Many behaviors once considered highly deviant are more accepted. Others have moved in the opposite direction. For example, smoking cigarettes was once common in workplaces, restaurants, airplanes, and even hospitals. Today, lighting up a cigarette in a hospital waiting room would likely produce immediate social sanctions.
I kind of feel like I'm in the bottom of a coal mine, like I'm an old coal worker with all the smoke a lot of times. I know most flight attendants do have sinus problems.
Cannabis provides another useful example. Public attitudes towards cannabis have shifted dramatically over recent decades. As perceptions change, laws change. As laws change, social norms continued evolving. This highlights a central sociological insight. Deviance is not fixed. It is socially constructed. That does not mean rules are imaginary. It means societies actively create, enforce, and revise the boundaries between acceptable and unacceptable behavior. So what is the difference between crime and deviance? Crime refers to behaviors that violate formal laws. Deviance refers to behaviors that violate social norms. There is often significant overlap between crime and deviance. Many behaviors that violate the law are also socially condemned, but not every crime is viewed as especially deviant, and not every deviant act is criminal. More importantly, neither category is permanent. What counts as crime or deviance varies across cultures, changes over time, and reflects broader struggles over morality, power, and social control. The next time you hear someone describe a behavior as obviously criminal or clearly deviant, remember, those labels often tell us as much about society as they do about the behavior itself. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you watched, please click like, get subscribed, and leave a comment letting me know what I should cover next.